The opinions expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Invisible Wounds or Wightman. Please be aware that the content of Fireside Chats with Deborah may contain sensitive subjects such as suicide, grief, violence, PTSD, and other mental health conditions. By discussing these subjects, we will decrease stigma, bring awareness, and hope. If you need support, please reach out to trusted contacts, family, friends, call your doctor, or go to the closest emergency department. Call helplines such as Boots on the Ground at 1-833-677-BOOT. We hope this series helps build self-confidence in you. On today's show, Alan McGuigan, volunteer, boots on the ground, being shunned when struggling with PTSD. Fireside Chats with Deborah is sponsored by Leslie Motors of Hairston, Walkerton, and Wingham. Visit lesliemotors.com to learn more.
Leslie Motors Sales Department is open Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. Give us a call at 1-877-357-3460 to book an appointment today.
And by South Bruce Flooring and Bernie McGlynn Lumber Limited, a local company bringing beauty to your home, one board at a time. Started in 1964 by Jerry and Mary McGlynn in Wingham to supply lumber to farms, the company has now grown to serve both commercial and residential customers. In 1983, Bernie purchased the company from his father and still owns and operates it with his wife Doreen and their children Lucas, Sheldon, and Sharina. You can visit them yourself in the South Bruce Flooring showroom north of Mildmay. A great selection of hardwood flooring and lumber sourced from Midwestern Ontario, along with byproducts of sawdust, mulch, and wood chips. For more information, go to southbruceflooring.com or call 519-367-3215.
Welcome to Fireside Chats. My name is Deborah, and I'm very happy to introduce today Alan McGuigan. And Alan is from Boots on the Ground.
Yes.
Alan, would you care to share with the audience a little bit about yourself before you get into describing your role with Boots on the Ground?
I've been a volunteer firefighter for 33 years.
Oh, okay.
In December of 2017, I had my PTSD breakdown and first diagnosis as PTSD. And then in 2018, I went off work completely, so January. And I've been off ever since. Diagnosed by several different psychologists with severe complex PTSD. It's kind of started through all the calls that I'd seen and everything else and the faces and ruminations and stuff. But I witnessed a line of duty death of a paramedic. We were responding to a call and things went wrong. And so I think that was really kind of the biggest rock. And I always look at PTSD as rocks in a backpack. And, this first responders, we carry this backpack, and some of the rocks we throw in our backpack are small. Some of the rocks we throw in our backpack are really heavy. Sometimes we offload them, sometimes we carry them. But at some point in time, if we don't manage it right, we end up, in a bad place. And so that's where I ended up. And then 2020, I attempted to take my life, and serious attempt, and luckily my police and ambulance first responders intervened in time, and I'm still here. And it kind of made me realize of a lot of that there was more purpose for me. There was more things for me to do. And so, I've always wanted to, when I left the fire department or was kind of put on leave from the fire department, there was a real big gap. because as first responders, we always want to give, we always want to help.
Right.
And when I didn't have that, that need being filled, that's when I went to Boots on the Ground, and I started bugging Dave McLennan to get on as a peer support, and so that's where I've been. I do that, and I also do Wounded Warriors.
Oh, okay.
I'm a peer supporter at Wounded Warriors as well.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I get a lot of gratification and fulfillment in helping people with their struggles through PTSD, and I always hope that I can help them avoid the kind of the dark spot that I went,
Right, right.
if I can. So, yeah.
So if I could just recap, pardon me, you worked as a volunteer firefighter?
Yes.
And where was that out of?
Chatham Kent Fire.
And how long were you there?
33 years.
33.
Yeah.
That's a lot of years.
Yeah. When I ended up, I was station chief in Blenheim, and I was station chief for quite a few years there. And I think that added a lot of it made the job more complex, because you not only had responsibility for the person you were trying to help, you had responsibility for all the firefighters that were within your team. So you had to take care of everybody, and you put yourself always last. So when you had a call and you knew the person and you wanted to cry, but you couldn't because you had a job to do. So you suppressed it. And I think a lot of that really kind of built up for me over time.
Right. The one thing that I have heard from chiefs or from deputy chiefs, captains, is because of the role that they're within in police, fire, that type of thing, and maybe paramedics is the same, I'm not so sure, is that they feel isolated, and they don't tend to have an openness to speak to others, and they carry immense fear, like you were talking about, caring for others. And recently, because of the deaths by suicide that are mounting, fears that they're going to lose one of their men or women, and that's horrific. So
it's pretty tough, and it's you really don't have anybody to turn to. Now it's getting better because you now have all the organizations that are in place that when I first started, there was nothing. You went to a call, it was a bad call, you kind of went back to the hall, and you went home and you did your next call, and you never really talked about it.
yeah, I think my memory is that in some of the fire departments, maybe not, but there was always a little beer fridge, and you would come back from a call and you'd have a brewski or two, and
I can't comment on that.
Oh, okay. So that was okay. I'm probably misinformed.
Yeah. It was the one time when I first got on, that was kind of the thing that that would happen, but that changed quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
And then you
part
lost
of that's
you lost that disconnect, right? You lost that opportunity where guys sat down and talked about the call. Then it became you went to the call, you got back to the station, you went home. There was no conversation after.
Right.
So you kind of lost some of that.
Right. And that hurt people.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So you'd mentioned that there was a CISM team. Did you see that as a replacement in some way after you had a call? Was CISM teams brought in?
No, we didn't have anything.
Oh.
In Chatham, Kent, nothing.
Okay.
So it was just kind of you did your call and you went home. At least when I was there, I don't know I can't speak now.
Okay.
But when I was there was some, the paramedic call. That was you just went back to the hall and you went home.
Yeah.
We had no conversations.
Really unfortunate. So you take that, it's all bottled up inside, you go home, and yet at that point in time, you didn't have the training or the education or the awareness or the skills to basically take care of yourself.
Yeah. You know, you kind of did some things, but you tended to go into a very, I call a small circle. Mm-hmm. And I had a very small circle. And so I didn't do a lot, except for I went to the gym a lot. That was my main focus. I didn't realize how much it was helping me, but it was helping me a lot. But I needed to do a lot more than just the gym.
Right.
And so it kind of piled up on top of me, and then I was able to, you know, get a good plan put together, and now I manage it fairly well. And you know, there's days when you know they you know, things come up, you get triggered, but you can manage it for the most part. And you know, there's days where you're down, and there's days when you know, you have nightmares and just kind of, you know, but people don't see that. They see, you know, me, like, for the most part, physically fit and all together. But, you know, it's actually a physical injury to the brain. Mm-hmm. And people don't recognize that.
And I smiled at that, and it's not to denote in any way the pain and anguish that people go through because of they've been exposed to trauma or traumatic experiences and developed PSIs or PTSD. But it's the joint awareness, so that's what that was about, mm-hmm. you know. And what I really find interesting and I really love from the past 7 years that I've been involved in really promoting mental wellness with first responders and civilians now is the fact that people not only are getting past the stigma and asking for help, but they're getting into the recovery a lot more and talking about that and able to express hope to others who are still suffering. And,
yeah.
and you know, I think that's what you're doing, which is great. So what other things did you do? I mean, you said that you work out, and that's kind of obvious. What other things do you do to help you with your recovery?
Photography. I love photography. Taking pictures of the water and birds and whatever, scenery. So I do that. And I've got 3 old English Mastiffs that are my best friends, and they hang out with me. That helps me if I can lay down on the floor, and they're always there for me. Meditation is big. Oh. I can meditate for hours now.
How did you learn that?
Just practice and practice and practice. You know, you got the apps from the free apps from the on my iPhone, and it's just kept doing it and longer, and finally, like, I can sit for a couple hours if I'm in a down space and just kind of close my eyes and kind of go somewhere else. My body starts to float and the whole 9 yards. It's pretty cool. Yeah,
can you explain that? I don't know that. So can you explain it just a little bit more detail?
Well, if I'm feeling down or I'm not well, if I feel stress, then I will sit down and I will close my eyes. Mm-hmm. And I've learned to take thoughts and events that come through that are kind of that I remember, and I let them pass. I don't dwell on anything. So things are coming in and out of my mind. I try to be in the present moment. So I'm not trying to think about what happened 2 days ago or what's going to happen tomorrow, but just the now, where I'm at right then and there. And yeah, it's hard to explain, but it's if you can get it down, it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, it kind of sounds interesting. I think I might have to get that app and take a look at it.
So I use Insight Timer, but there's lots of different ones, Calm and stuff. And I use the I'm not going to remember the name now. Got a PTSD moment here. The headband, and you hear birds and stuff, and it teaches you to kind of bring yourself back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I used that for quite a while. I forget the name of it. It'll come to me eventually, but.
So did you do a lot of counseling, or are you still in counseling?
Yeah,
or?
I'm still in counseling. I've really been fortunate with the doctor that I have, Dr. Charles Nelson. He's awesome, and he reads me, and like just recently he increased our visits just because of the winter time and not the weather and everything else and COVID. So I'm seeing him every couple weeks, and if he feels that I'm doing okay, then it's every 4 weeks, and then I see my psychiatrist every 4 weeks, and that's pretty much from a clinician side of things. That's where I get my therapy from, and my dogs. So.
How many dogs do you have?
3.
3?
Yeah, 3 Old English. So they're big dogs. The biggest one's 205 pounds.
Wow, that is the big dog.
Yeah, so, and then, I just, I have to say that I'm not real good at putting myself out in the community, in the sense that I keep fairly close to myself. I have friends that I made at Homewood and friends that I've made through Boots on the Ground and Wounded Warriors that I keep in contact with. But it's a circle that's made up a lot of, strictly first responders for the most part. And it's a good circle. I know people from across the country now, and I've been really fortunate. I did the Wounded Warriors TRP-1 and TRP-2, which was awesome. That really helped.
I'm not familiar.
It's TRP-1. It goes through resiliency type, teaching you how to be resilient to the trauma and how to deal with your trauma. And it's preparing you for TRP-2, which is you pull out a specific trauma that you've just one out of the many, and you go through that trauma and you put it on paper, and then you speak in a group, and the group is usually fairly small, and then the ratio of clinician to participants is really good. It's like, there's 2 participants per clinician, kind of thing, and it's a really good experience. And now I'm lucky, I'm fortunate enough, I'm actually a peer supporter for that. So I go to the sessions, and I still get help from it, because you experience when you go with other people that have had PTSD, and you sit and you go and you listen to their experiences, you grow from that yourself.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I find it interesting when you say that one of the things that happens when you start in your recovery is that your social network, it might be small, but it starts growing. Yeah. But it grows with others who are first responders. Yeah. And are they typically people who have acknowledged the fact that they've had PSI or PTSD?
Yes.
Yeah, and so they're also in recovery?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I find. I feel that I'm blessed because of being diagnosed, and I was diagnosed 35 years ago, and so I'm really very stable, thank God. But through the volunteer stuff I do like this, is I meet so many people like you, yeah, who share stories, who are honest, who are kind-hearted, and just still wanting to help people. And man, I just think, isn't it nice?
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling, and the friendships that you gain. My friend, Fern Bossy, was a military, served in the Canadian Forces for 33 years, served in Afghanistan and in Bosnia, and we met at Homewood, and we're still connected really close, you know, and I carry a rock
Yep.
that he gave me.
Oh, cool.
And I've had this rock since Homewood, so it's I've not lost it. A few times I thought I did, and I've went into panic mode, but
Yeah.
I carry it, and it connects me with him, and it connects me with it. Gives me hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives me hope.
So what do you do for grounding exercises? I see the rock. Some people use the rock and they rub it.
I use the rock. I use scents. So I have different roll-on scents that I'll put on. I also have my challenge coin from Boots on the Ground. So again, it's tactile.
Yep.
It's rubbing. So that's grounding for me, and that's pretty much mostly what I use now. It's what I find that works best for me.
But you've already obviously developed the skills and honed them quite well, because you're doing like the tactile sensations and the rock. And if you're able to ground yourself quickly just using tactile, you're doing really great work.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, that's really, you haven't been in recovery too long, so congratulations with that. If you could just explain to the audience a little bit about the scents. What's that about?
There's different scents that you can get that, like sandalwood. There's specific ones that you can get for PTSD, actually, if you look it up. And it's just, they're essential oils that you can put on your wrist, or you have a roll on.
Oh, okay.
And
it's not one of those things that...
Well, you can use a diffuser too as well. So I have a diffuser at home that I use, and I put it in. But I also have some of the essential oil and just like a roll-on stick, and I can put it on my wrist, or I can just smell it. And yeah, but there's ones that are specific for PTSD.
Really?
Yeah.
So you order them online, or?
Yeah, I can get them online or anywhere. I get them from the health store that's close to me. So yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. So here's a question. If you are sitting at home and you're struggling and you haven't really talked to anybody, who are you going to call now?
Well, I would say from a comedy point of view, I was going to say Ghostbusters, but Boots on the Ground.
You got me on that one, didn't you?
Boots on the Ground, and Boots on the Ground is an incredible organization that was started by a group of PO police officers, and they saw a need for a resource that was completely anonymous, so that, because a lot of people are afraid to come out and talk to somebody and say, hey, this call challenged me, or this did this, and even within their own organization, because of fear of being looked down upon or judged, right? So, they saw a need to have, and they created it with first responders answering the calls as well, again, because you're keeping that circle of first responders, but you're not talking to somebody necessarily that and it's completely anonymous. So when you call into Boots on the Ground, the call comes into it goes through Bell Connect, and from Bell Connect it sends a call out to whoever's on call. But we don't see the number. We have no idea where you're from. Doesn't show you the area you're from. Could be anywhere. And
so they don't have to give name or anything like that?
No. The only thing we ask is we'll ask them the basics to, are they safe, in the confidentiality, and we'll go through that. If they give a name, that's great. We try to get a service just for our records, and looking at stats and stuff like that.
Right.
But first name, what's really only thing we want really is a first name, and nothing's really recorded down after the call, other than the time of call, the length of call, and maybe if there was some discussion in that call that might help out other peer supports later on.
I see. Okay.
But it's completely anonymous, which is really cool.
So how long would a conversation go? Like, is it
They can go from anywhere from just like 3 or 4 minutes, where somebody calls up and just says, I'm really having downtime right now, and I just needed to hear somebody's voice, to I think the longest I've been on myself is probably about 3 hours. I don't know, there might be some of the other call takers that have been on for longer. I think the average would probably be half an hour, but a lot of times they're an hour long. And you judge the call. It's somebody calls in and they're really upset and they might be crying and they're struggling. You can really tell they're struggling. And then you work through the call, and then you start to see them kind of get over that hill and start to come down the other side where they're grounded and they're safe.
right?
And there's nothing better feeling than that. From you got somebody crying at the beginning of the call, at the end of the call they're laughing,
Right.
and they're feeling safe and they're feeling comfortable. And
Do you get repeat calls, do you think?
Oh, yeah.
The same person would call back?
Oh yeah, all the time.
And would that person get would the same recipient be on?
No.
No.
Because we work shift work, so we book in for an 8-hour shift, and that's pretty random. Whenever you just pick a shift that you want. Sometimes, like, some of us are fairly consistent in, let's say, Saturdays or Sundays or whatever. But no, the caller really can't get the same peer support. Now, what can happen is if the person needs specific help, let's say somebody calls me and they're military, I can get their name, get their contact information for like an email, and then we send that off, and we can get somebody who is a military person to talk to them.
Oh, okay.
Or we can get let's say if I'm on call and I know my backup is a police officer, and I'm talking to a person as a police officer, me being a firefighter, I can then pass him on to that second call taker,
Oh, I see.
and get the first the police. But yeah, we do get a lot of repeat calls, and we get the people that I think sometimes people just they've isolated themselves so much that they don't have anybody else, and they don't have anybody else they can trust.
Yeah. So trust is a big thing, and I think that's maybe something that we could talk about a little bit. You said that you isolated before. So where was your first trust thing when you reached out for help?
My first trust.
Where was that connection, or who was that with?
I would have to say my first connection for trust is with my friend Fern, but I've developed a lot of trust through the different people that I've met through boots on the ground and wounded warriors, because people open up and they become very vulnerable, and they share very deep emotions and things that have happened to them. And when somebody feels comfortable enough to know, or they're comfortable enough to do that with you, you know that they trust you, and you've developed that trust. So I've had lots of people that I know have trusted to share their story with me, and I've shared my story with a lot of people. I can't really say. Trust for me is on a day-to-day and moment-to-moment experience. I can be very trusting, and I can go to the grocery store and be very trusting and not have any problems. Or if I go to the grocery store, I might put my hat on and cover my eyes up, and I won't look at people. My hat is my security blanket.
Oh.
And it's sort of an isolating way, or I'll take and I won't make a lot of eye contact.
Okay.
If I don't make eye contact, it's me trying to develop that relationship, and then it's a safety thing for me to not have eye contact. So then when I start to trust somebody, then I'll have a lot more eye contact with them, and it's a way of saying, hey, I'm letting you completely into my world, and so but I've had a lot of experiences where, from administrative side of it, and just different situations have created a lot of distrust for me. So I trust close friends, and I trust boots on the ground. I trust all the people in boots on the ground, and that's kind of my wounded warriors, my circle.
Yeah, I think the whole thing about, I didn't know the hat thing. That's very interesting. I have to watch for that. But a lot of people, when they're hypervigilant and how they sit, where they sit in a room, how they case a room, and all this type of stuff is pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Those of us who kind of know what's going on.
Yeah.
But the other thing that you talk about is the trust or the bond, and I think it's the brotherhood or the sisterhood. Like I've been called a sister, which I know is totally like an honor, and it's, I don't know how to describe it. Do you find the same thing?
Yeah, but I find it more so in the people that have had PTSD. And so I'm not gonna. I don't want to go too far out on the one side of it, because I trust the people that like, say, the first responders that I know from boots on the ground, wounded warriors. For me, it was my experience when I left my station wasn't so good, and I was kind of shunned away when I was diagnosed with PTSD, and so it became very distrustful to the brotherhood and the sisterhood of the fire service, because I was left on my own.
Yeah.
And that's where boots on the ground saved my life, because it was I had people that I knew cared about me, and I knew that in the organization there was people that truly cared about me. When I suicided or attempted suicide, boots on the ground wrapped their arms around me and picked me up and lifted me up. And no one else did that. They were right there, just everybody, and Dave McLennan and everybody just kind of like, and it was an incredible feeling. But it was, my family, my kids, that lifted me up. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then I found my hooks, my grandchildren.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so I get grandkids, so they're my hooks that keep me. Yeah, if I ever go down the wrong rabbit hole, they pull me up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's, I'm saddened, but I'm not surprised when you say that you felt shunned by your fire station and the people in it. And I know that sometimes, because I've been in this field for a long time, that is kind of the old school. And sometimes they want to just get you out because they're scared.
Yeah.
They're scared, not just of you and what you might do, like death by suicide or harm or that, or not understanding the disease or the illness or whatever you want to call PTSD. But it's the fear that they might have it too.
Yep.
I'm going to catch it.
Yep.
And so they back away, away. But in doing so, they isolate you and others who need the support most, you know, so it really sucks.
Yeah, and I think, you know, you kind of, when you talked about, it's the acknowledgement that it actually exists. And I think everybody has been affected by their calls. They can say they haven't. But I was talking to one of my paramedic friends, really good friend, and he said, you know, Al, it's not, we're messed up. We're all messed up. And it just, some are dealing with it, and, you know, maybe they've got some, you know, techniques and things that they use to keep themselves on the level, but others just don't acknowledge it and let it kind of eat away. So then you see that in other symptoms that come out.
Right.
And it's, you know, basically being a first responder, you see that you should, sorry for that, but you see stuff that you can't unsee, and things that you shouldn't see, and nobody should see. And you can't walk away from it. You've got to deal with it. You've got to work with it. But it doesn't go away. Like, if anybody says, oh, well, you know, it's part of the job, and, you know, I can take it. They're just not acknowledging really what's gone on, you know, and it's
Sometimes
that's
their coping skills, right? Or
Yeah.
their lack of coping skills. They just keep it deep. Yeah.
Yeah, and the more empathetic you are, the more, you know, that's one of my kind of Achilles heel, I guess, is that, you know, I cared about everybody, and I cared about every call that I went, and every person and everybody that was at the call, and you know, I honor all of them, and I in my own mind, and this may sound crazy, but I don't forget any of them, because I feel that would be dishonoring them. Others can go to calls and just say, okay, it was a call, it's done, and it's over with. I can't do that.
No.
I've got more.
You got a big heart there, buddy.
Yeah, that's what I've got the King of Hearts on my...
Oh, is that on there?
Yeah, it's a King of Hearts right there, and because I got a big heart, and
It hurts sometimes.
it hurts real bad sometimes,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So,
Well, look, I want to just acknowledge the fact that you're pretty powerful. You've had a life. You've had life experiences, specifically with your role as a volunteer firefighter. But also, I'm sure there's other things in your life that have happened that may complement some of those issues, and you know, life's challenges as you go on. And you reach that point of you know, considering death by suicide. You did reach out and get some help, and you've survived.
yeah,
And not only survived, you're in the process of growing.
yeah,
And in doing so, you're building a network of friends that is so important. We all need friends, right?
yeah,
And you're not only doing that, but you're opening the door and allowing others who are taking the first steps to contact you.
yeah,
And you're the guy, the big-hearted guy, that's going to be on the phone.
yeah. And you know, all the call takers on Boots on the Ground, they're all amazing, you know, people. And you know, there's a lot of training that goes into all the call takers, you know, to make sure that they're able to handle the calls, you know, before they get onto the phone lines. There's a lot of training that goes into that, and to make sure that people are there. And then we've got a lot of supports within Boots on the Ground. We have a weekly debrief, and then we have monthly with I have debrief with, it's actually today, with Dr. Vivian Lee, and it's, you know, just to kind of make sure, take care of all the call takers, and then they're always monitoring. I think Dave and Andy and a few others are monitoring the volunteers to see, are they okay, and are they, you know, is everything all right? So you get a phone call, and to make sure so we take care of ourselves, we take care of each other, and then we hope to be able to take care of others in the community that are calling in.
Yeah. Well, I think what you're talking about is vicarious trauma. People call in, they're telling the stories.
Yeah.
It can trigger something within you.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And it sounds like the organization that Dave I've met, of course, is doing one heck of a great job in developing an organization that is working.
Yeah.
And not just working with the individuals who are calling in, but like you say, strengthening that network of first responders and anybody who's working within the organization. I mean, that's tight. That's really positive.
Yeah, it's very positive. And you got callers that call in, and they'll say, you saved me today, or I was in a rough spot and now I'm okay, and thanks.
Yeah.
And that's huge, right? Because sometimes people don't have anybody to turn to. They're all on their own. So that's where I encourage people to call boots on the ground. It's 24/7. Call anytime. Call as many times as you want.
What's the number?
What's the number? That's a good. I'm glad you asked that.
Yep.
But I'm going to have to pull it up here. It's on the back. So it's. Now I can see if I can see it. 1-833.
Yeah.
677 2668.
Okay, you want to say that again?
Okay, so I'll try to read again. 1-833 677 2668. We also, you can find us on the on the internet, Boots on the Ground on Facebook, bootsonground.ca. There's a resource list on that on our website as well, of different resources that you can utilize.
So it's easy to reach. So if anybody out there is thinking that they'd like to take that first step and to talk to anybody, maybe you'll hook up with Alan here. And so you've got the number, and Boots on the Ground, please give a call. Do not suffer alone. You do not have to. There's a whole support group out here just waiting to help you take those first steps, and any after that you need assistance with. Right, Al?
Yes. Yeah. We have a whole bunch of other programs that we offer as well. So it's when you call in, there's lots of things that we can help you out with.
Oh, good.
So it's not just narrowed to just the call itself.
Do you want to elaborate on that just a little bit?
Well, you got WSIB advocacy, so if you're having troubles with forms and stuff like that, somebody will be able, that's experienced that, they'll help guide you through that process. If you need a psychologist, we have a list of psychologists and psychotherapists that have been vetted by Boots on the Ground to be trauma-based, and also to be able to respond within a couple weeks to the person. Referrals in different areas, and that's all across Ontario. And there's a couple other programs that we have as well that are kind of special.
Good to know.
Yeah, so there's lots going on.
Yeah.
And hopefully we're going to be expanding eventually all across Canada.
Oh, I hear that. I hear some people that are asking for you, so I'm sure that it's going to happen.
Yeah, so that's exciting too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for being here. It's been great, very educational for me, and I'm sure for the viewers.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you for sharing your story on today's show. Now we'll hear from a few more people sharing their own resiliency and truth through the Simcoe County Suicide Awareness Council's 11-second challenge videos.
Hello, I'm Deborah McDonald, and I'm doing week number 5 of the 11-second challenge for Simcoe County Suicide Awareness Council. And I've been thinking about it and wondering what I could say that would be helpful to provide hope. And I think that by telling the truth, that's the best I can do. So the truth is that I was suicidal at one point in my life. The truth is that I was hospitalized for 2 weeks, preceding getting a diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder. And so I was put on some meds to stabilize me. And that started my journey of recovery. And I want you to know that it was challenging at one point in time finding a counselor who kind of fit with my personality, so I had to shop around, and that was something that was difficult, but I had lots of support from individuals that I'd met who had also had trauma in their history. So yeah, it's been quite a ride sometimes, but and like, as I say, it can be challenging, but it also can be very rewarding. It can be filled with love, it can be filled with enjoyment. So if you got any thoughts about suicide, please reach out. Let's break through the stigma, gain some awareness, call Boots on the Ground. They're there 24/7. Find yourself a counselor, get some help, because you're worth it and you deserve it. Okay? Thank you. I'm Deborah McDonald from Invisible Wounds, and I'm here with my friend and a volunteer, Paula Turner, and we're here to spend a few minutes responding to the 11-second challenge that's put forth by Simcoe Suicide Awareness Council. So, Paula, you have a few things to share.
Yes, welcome to 2022, and thank you, Deborah, for coming over. We noticed as we were talking, my uncle had given me this wonderful plaque for Christmas one year, and I thought it would be nice to just take a couple seconds to go through what was written on it. Laid it out pretty good. Take care of each other, be kind with your words, be mindful of what is going on in other people's worlds right now, because it might not be the same as what's going on in yours. Don't hold grudges, laugh every day, be yourself, have a sense of humor, take responsibility, have character, embrace your differences, learn from mistakes, hug a lot. I know that's hard in these times, but that's one of my favorite things. Human contact does a certain amount of good for your body. Respect each other, be grateful, show compassion, but above all, love each other, because there is no place like home. So thank you for giving me this 11-second challenge, and hopefully people know, be aware, and if you need someone to have a conversation with, we're always there. Have a conversation. Just look us up.
Pick up the phone, okay, and call.
Thank you.
My name is Deborah McDonald. I'm here with my daughter, Christy.
Hello.
And what we'd like to do is let you know that what we're doing today is the 11-second challenge that's put on by Simcoe County Suicide Awareness Council. And so today what we're doing is just showing that acts of kindness can be done within a family. We're working together to prepare Christmas breakfast and to share it with a limited number of people because of COVID. So our best wishes to you for Merry Christmas if you celebrate, or Happy Holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Hello, I'm Deborah McDonald. I'm here with Crystal Belmore from Brown's Farmer Save in Wingham, and we're doing week 2 of the Suicide Awareness 11-second challenge put on by South Simcoe County Suicide Awareness Council. So, Crystal, is there something that you would like to say to the audience?
Well, I'd like to take time to say thank you for coming in, and this means a great deal to everyone, because we all, during these challenging times, need to have a talk with someone. It doesn't matter who it is. Old, young, doesn't matter. But remember, we are all out there. We are all struggling, but we all need one another. So during Christmas, how about we reach out to anyone, loved ones, an elderly person, someone who doesn't have anyone, and take them a coffee or a tea or a hot chocolate and have a chat with them. Everyone needs to have a chat. So from Brown's Farmer Save, I'm wishing you all a very Merry Christmas and an excellent 2022.
Hello, my name is Scott Mills, and I've been involved in the 11-second challenge led by the Simcoe County Suicide Awareness Council for a little while now, and they're doing great work. And the idea is to share a video about what you can do to prevent suicide. So my theme is taking care of yourself. So stupid little things like I just walked out and sat on my porch because it's a beautiful sunny day, and I can feel the nice crisp air out here, and it just invigorates me. And another thing is, I go to the grocery store sometimes, and you know, you're always looking for bargains and stuff like that. Just go to a really like fancy grocery store and buy some really nice food that I like to eat. You know, really, really high quality vegetables. I love steaks, so a really good steak, and treat myself, even if nobody's around. Another big thing is try and make your bed. When you first get up in the morning, it kind of gives you a sense of control over things are tidy and things are neat, and I can move forward with my day. And always check in with people and have general chats. Just be normal. And I guess those are my tips. And thanks, everyone. Thanks to Deborah McDonald for making me do this video. Your enthusiasm is catchy, and that's what it's all about, just keeping connected with people. And thanks to all the fine people at the Simcoe County Suicide Awareness Council for their great work with this 11-second challenge. The idea is to stop suicides. In 11 seconds you can do that. And there's like 11 people per day in Canada that die by suicide. So they want to change the narrative. 11-second challenge. Check it out on social media. Hashtag 11-second challenge.
Hi, I'm Debbie from Suicide Treats in Bingham. It's just thank you, Deborah, for asking me to do this challenge. It's very important that we all are kind to everybody. Everybody is struggling, especially at this time. And it doesn't hurt or cost anything to reach out and touch somebody with your kindness. So please think of everyone else and yourself, of course, too, and just be kind. Thank you.
To all the people who are suffering out there and need help, you need to believe in yourself and understand that you are so valuable and so important for this planet. Don't make anything make you feel that you are not important or you're not worth anything. You are worth everything on this planet, and everybody needs you on this earth. Don't be discouraged. We just love you, and we're here for you with anything you need.
Good morning, I'm Deborah McDonald, and I'm here with Diane Foxton, and we are together going to assist and promote the 11-second challenge that's been put forth to us. So, Diane, I believe that you have something for me. The challenge actually is to assist with awareness about suicide, death by suicide, and to promote prevention of same.
So kindness is something that just isn't exercised this time of year. It's something we've got to keep in mind for 365 days of the year, 24/7. I haven't seen Deb in quite some time, and I was pleased to see her today, and I'd like to offer her some freshly baked shortbread cookies.
Yay!
Enjoy, Deborah.
Thank you very much.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Invisible Wounds will host events promoting mental wellness to first responders, their families, and civilians. Our upcoming national conference, the Invisible Wounds Conference for First Responders, will be held October 5th and 6th, 2022 at the Prince of Wales Hotel and Spa, Niagara-on-the-Lake. To find out more, please visit our website at invisible-wounds.ca.